Hi everybody, it's Severine.
And Ronnie.
And we're back with another episode of Moonlight Ponderings.
Woo.
And today we're not really talking about anything super witchy, but...
Other than apparently on how my mother liked to frighten me when I was little.
So we're gonna get a little personal and talk about our childhoods.
So this actually came about because the other day, or more like about a few weeks ago now actually,
yeah.
I introduced Severine and Firechild to a little movie called Return to Oz. Thumbs up if you liked it.
First of all, I never have seen Return to Oz until this moment. And so I was not prepared. Firechild and I were screaming at parts of it because it was scary. I thought it was scary.
Well, because normally, yeah, you think, Oz, a wonderful place where nothing bad really happens.
Except for that one munchkin that killed himself in the background.
That is not true. That did not happen.
I know, but
Anyways.
Conspiracy theory.
So, without spoiling, I mean, if you haven't seen it, spoilers. You should see it if you want to, though. It's really good.
Yeah.
It was made in the 80s, starring Fairuza Balk. I think that's how you say her name.
Off the Craft, Nancy.
Yeah. Well, she was a little girl. And
tiny.
basically it's about, the whole premise at first is like she has trouble sleeping. And so her aunt takes her to this place to help her so she can fall asleep. Well, it turns out it's shock therapy.
Let me just say also, there is this woman that they bring into the movie, and instantaneously you know she's the bad guy. She's wearing like all black and freaking pointy ass sleeves. Oh, you have to look at the cup.
Oh. I don't know if you can see it from there.
I'll get a picture of it later. But yes, we got matching ones, but I don't know where my shark is, so.
But, so, this is so normal to me, like, I realize now how horrifying the movie is. I really do. But, like, because, like, you hear moaning in the background of people being tortured and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Wheelers. Just the Wheelers alone.
Firechild and I were extremely upset at the Wheelers. If you haven't watched it, just when you see it, like, we were just like, ah!
They are very, very freaky. I mean, I admit it, they're scary looking.
They're scary looking.
But, again, this was my childhood. Like, I grew up watching this movie.
So you weren't scared when you were a kid?
No! This was normal to me. And, like, the gnomes were scary to you guys.
Mm.
You're like, oh, no. Which basically, it was, there'd be a boulder and a face would just start to form in the boulder.
Yes, it was really creepy. I mean, it's kind of like those old-timey claymations that they're really cool, but they're a little unsettling because they're moving so jointed and not really normal.
So, we get into the middle of the movie, and oh, behold, here's this character known as Princess Mumby. And this one here, the character goes, let me change into something a little more comfortable. And she's like, she should! That's a pointy outfit. It looks very uncomfortable. Little does she know, it's not the dress she's changing.
No, I was not ready.
Lo and behold, she goes into a room, and it's full of heads. She takes the head off and puts a new one on. Meanwhile, this is their face.
That's pretty much my face.
Oh, and it gets worse.
It does get so much.
Like, looking back at this now, I am like, oh my gosh. Why was I allowed to watch this movie? Because Dorothy gets locked up. And
the lady's like, your face will be pretty when you get older.
so she locks her up until she's going to be like 18 or something like that.
Oh my god.
Well, mind you, she finds a way to break out. But in order to escape, they need this magic potion that Mumby keeps locked up with her original head. So first she has to get the ruby key off of the woman's wrist. Meanwhile, she's sleeping headless, by the way. And then also, she goes and opens the door, and this woman is scary looking.
Terrifying looking.
And then she grabs the potion, knocks his belt over. Then goes and goes, Dorothy girl. And then this dramatic music just comes out of nowhere. And it's a little scary. It is. I loved it.
It's super
so good.
terrifying.
Okay, and I'm not going to try to spoil everything for you, but let's just say it's worth a watch, guys. It really is.
It's really good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad movie or anything like that, but I was fucking scared.
It was a thing of nightmares.
And I love scary movies. Like, I like, you know, one of my favorite scary movies is probably Insidious. And,
See, I didn't find that movie scary.
it was unsettling.
The scariest thing about that movie to me was, I think, I'm trying to remember, the demon face behind the grandma. Because it caught me off guard. I was just like, oh no.
I thought the scariest thing was the further. Personally.
It was when grandma was talking and then lo and behold sees that. I was like, nope.
Sees Darth Maul's drunk brother.
Right. So that's one of my moments.
No, you have to tell the other one. Because this is not the only terrifying movie.
Okay. There's actually a lot. So, oh, by the way, that was a Disney movie. Like,
Return to
Oz was a Disney movie.
What the fuck, Disney? Disney is gonna get our video taken down.
I'm not stating a fact. I said it was a good movie. It was just scary.
Yeah, but that's not
Excuse me while I drink my wine.
Yes, this is wine in these cups. That's how serious this topic was. We needed wine.
So, there's another movie that she got to watch recently called Something Wicked This Way Comes. Was that the one you were referring to?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's an older movie put out by Disney. And basically it's about these two little boys who in this small town in Illinois in like probably the 1930s, 40s, somewhere along that line.
Yeah.
And this carnival comes to town. And the plot's kind of like Needful Things in a little bit. Whereas this man, he fulfills people's desires, but it comes at a price. Except, unlike Needful Things, you get price taken away almost immediately. Like, the price comes immediately. Yeah. You get 2.5 seconds of enjoyment, and then he's like, oh, by the way, your soul is mine.
It was kind of like, what the fuck?
It was more of a gorier Disney film. You see a kid's head get chopped off at one point.
Yeah.
There's blood. I mean, it was before the Disney Renaissance. Let's put it like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it kind of took on... I really did like the movie. I never had seen it before. It took on really serious topics. Like, you know, there was one character that was an older man, and without giving too much detail, like... It was really taking sort of this mental toll on him that he felt like he couldn't be as helpful.
He felt like he was too old to be a father.
But yeah, like, it was really interesting to me that they kind of talked about the struggles of, like, being older and feeling feeble or...
A woman not feeling like she wasn't pretty anymore.
Yeah. I mean, like, they touched on some really interesting things, and there wasn't a lot of, like, ridiculous, unnecessary juxtaposition. I don't know if you guys know what that means, but that's basically when a dialogue is put into place to tell you how someone's feeling instead of showing you.
Mm-hmm.
They did more showing than they did telling, and I really appreciate when a movie can do that and they can do it well.
There's more exhibition.
I guess that's the word.
I'm saying again a lot.
That
movie was more so a personal hell for one scene for Firechild.
Mm-hmm.
Firechild hates spiders with like a fiery passion. She's terrified of them.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-like things too. She doesn't even like.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a scene where they get trapped in a bedroom and there's spiders everywhere. And it's just spiders, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she had to leave the room.
She was like, nope.
She's like, I don't think so. And I was like, I understand.
I'd have been uncomfortable. For me, it's the same with, like, Indiana Jones and... Which one is it? Not... The Lost Ark.
Oh.
With the snake pit. Oh, God. No. That's just unsettling to me.
I'm not really scared of bugs or... Well, I do have slightly a fear of cockroaches just because I associate them with such gross things. It's not really...
I just get grossed out when I see them. It's like, oh, gross. Like,
it's not really a fear so much as a disgust thing.
Mm-hmm.
And really, in my mind, they're one of the only creatures on the planet that have no purpose of existence. That sounds really terrible. And you can feel differently than I do. But that's how I feel about it. Like,
I don't mind cockroaches as long as they're out in the wild and not in my house.
Yeah, like, if there's a cockroach outside, I'm not going to kill it. But if it's in the house...
I'm moving.
Or bug bombing.
Exactly. It's like, there's one, that means there's more. You know?
Yeah.
Fortunately, I've never had that issue.
I can't say that.
No shame.
I mean, the issue with cockroaches is if you have neighbors that have them, more than likely
You'll end up getting them too. We have a mutual friend that had that issue, I think, so.
Yeah.
But, so, while my end of the spectrum was movies that were inappropriate for small children because they were too scary, this person over here...
Okay, so, to be fair...
You were much older than I was.
I was older than you. I mean, I was probably 13. So, my mom was very adamant that I would have a really good grasp of sex. So, I watched a lot of movies with sex as a kid, and one of the first ones I ever watched was 9.5 Weeks. And if you guys don't know what 9.5 Weeks is, 9.5 Weeks is like a little less BDSM than 50 Shades, but done better than 50 Shades is.
She really does not like 50 Shades.
I really don't. I feel like it's a very inaccurate representation of the lifestyle of BDSM. And I would say that most people that are into BDSM feel the same way.
And that being said, she showed me a little bit of this movie. I have not seen all of this movie because that's not my genre. I'm not big on those type of romance films.
It's not really a romance because I wouldn't say...
What would you call it? Like, what genre would it fit in?
I mean, romance is probably the closest, but I mean, if you guys have never seen it, it basically goes of the course of a relationship between this guy and girl. I don't think they ever state anything like, oh, I love you. It's been a while since I've watched it, but...
It was a romantic drama, I guess, would be...
A drama would probably be the more appropriate.
And it's just not the type of film I like. But the scene she showed me, I'm like, you let your 13-year-old daughter watch this? I was judging your mom a little bit. No offense either, but like, because far be it from me to tell me how to raise your child. But I'm like,
I was a very mature child. Like when I was young, I didn't have very many friends, so I read a lot, and so like.
Still.
I understood a lot of concepts that I feel like a lot of children are kind of sheltered from. And then in other ways I was very sheltered about other things. But relationships and sex was something that
was a movie that was just like, ooh, I would have never been allowed to watch that. Never been allowed. But I mean, your parents, you watch Game of Thrones with your parents.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of a risque show. I could never watch that with my mom.
Well, my mom and I have always had a very, like,
Open relationship
it's
when it comes to...
because when my mom was a kid, she felt very sheltered when it came to sexual encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And so she felt like her mom didn't really talk to her about stuff. And that's not inaccurate. I mean, you know, like, my mom's kind of a baby boomer generation, so the older generation than that
was very conservative.
And not to say, you know, like, anything's wrong with being conservative, but I do think one of the biggest issues we have in society right now is that parents decide celibacy and not talking about sex is going to push children away from having sex.
Well, I mean, yeah, full disclosure, you never ended up like a teenage pregnancy, and you never had an STD. And I'm not shaming someone who has had that happen to them, but I mean...
but I had a clear understanding, and I also had a mom that was like, you know, when she talked to me about sex, she said, I really don't want you to have sex before you're an adult.
However,
comma.
Teenagers are bored and they have sex.
Well, when you're a teenager, you're going through hormones and you're experiencing things, and it's exciting and passionate.
Well, that's why, like, back in the day, a lot of teenagers got married young, is because all those hormones were going there. Everyone's like, how do you fix that? Marry them. And then...
And that's a lot of why I feel like, you know, the Bible can be kind of outdated about things. And not to say that if it works for you, it works for you. But to me, it seems like it's really unfair to judge how everyone should live when the standard of living was much different at the time that that book was written. Because, yes, you could wait until marriage, because more than likely you and your husband were getting married when you were like 12, and then you were only living to be around 30.
And so going off to a different topic a little bit, while you watched a few inappropriate movies growing up that a 13-year-old girl probably shouldn't have, your parents didn't let you watch Nickelodeon.
That's
right?
true.
So guys, Ren and Stimpy, no, she don't know about Hey Arnold, Rugrats, Rocko's Modern Life.
I did watch a little bit of Rugrats because my babysitter would let us watch Rugrats.
Because it was everywhere.
Yeah.
But like, my mom did let us watch Ren and Stimpy, and Ren and Stimpy was so inappropriate. That one, I will say, is like, it's just disgusting to watch now. My mom did hate it growing up. She hated that show, but she let us watch it.
I don't think so much it was that my parents thought that the shows were inappropriate as much as maybe that my mom didn't feel like they were intellectually stimulating.
Well, okay, that can be fair. But see, like, you didn't even grow up with Are You Afraid of the Dark? And oh my god.
I know.
There are some things in Are You Afraid of the Dark that was terrifying to me. Ooh. There's an episode about a ghost in a pool to this day terrifies me. I'm like, no, not
I need to
cool.
watch. I did, but to be fair, I was also a really sensitive kid, and so...
Do you think you scared easy when you were little?
I think that's part of it. And I think, because when I was a kid, I don't know if you guys know of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but our music teacher, when I was in elementary school, had records that he would play around Halloween time.
I remember those.
Do you remember those?
Yes.
Because we went to the same, like...
I went for 5th grade. I was only there one year, but...
you knew about that. I mean, so... I remember one of the stories scared me so bad that my mom, I had night terrors for a while after that, and then my mom asked the teacher to
let you leave the room?
Let me leave the room. And not to say, like, now as an adult, I really appreciate...
You love horror films.
I love horror. But I think when I was a kid, that was something I was really sensitive to. And maybe that was part of it, was that my parents were like, But it's weird because I read Goosebumps when I was a kid, so like.
But Goosebumps are not really scary, to be fair. Let's be honest. Goosebumps is not scary.
There's some of them that are a little unsettling.
I think the scariest one for me was the werewolf ones. Anyone involving a werewolf. I was like,
Well, you have a thing with werewolves.
I don't like werewolves are scary. I've always found werewolves scary.
But yeah, I think my parents, it was either they thought that it was too sensitive material for me. Because I watched a lot of Disney when I was a kid.
I watched a lot of Disney too, but I also had Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it made me a little braver watching Are You Afraid of the Dark. And
Well, I think what happened with me was as I started to get older, I kind of got this whole like, I don't want to be scared of things.
well, I don't like demon possessed movies because I kind of believe that shit can happen, So I'm like, I ain't playing with that. Sorry.
The Exorcist to this day is still probably always going to be one of the scariest movies ever made. I feel like
when I first saw it, it didn't scare me at all. And then, because I was young, and then when I realized the context of the movie, I was like, oh no.
Isn't it crazy when you rewatch something? Like, I'm rewatching, this is completely left field, but I'm rewatching Grey's Anatomy right now. And I remember having sort of this concept of certain characters, and now it's changed because I'm a different person than I was even 5 years ago.
I'm guilty of watching that show, and some of the characters I love, I still love. I found.
I think that I probably would now, but when I started watching that show, I was still pretty young.
My sister-in-law's rewatched it, and she hates Meredith so much now. This is like off topic completely.
Oh my god. But no, I think what's interesting to me is I remember, so without going into like spoiler what happens, I'll just tell you guys the situation without character names attached. So there is one character in the show, and very career-driven character, and had was pregnant in an early season, lost the baby. She didn't want the baby anyway, but then she got pregnant again in a later season and had an abortion. And I kind of remember being a little upset because I was like, well, damn, girl, if you're that fertile, maybe
get some birth control.
Maybe get some birth control. And then I rewatched, and like, I really felt like she was doing everything she could do, and then the significant other, I was more mad at him than I was with her. And I remember it not being that I was really mad at him, because I felt like he was just kind of, he really wanted a baby. And
no, those characters just should not have been together. They were not good together.
They were not good together. But the other thing too is like, he really pissed me off because she told him in the beginning she didn't want kids, and he literally told her, yeah, well, everyone says that, and then later on they changed their minds. And I remember just being like, watching that now, being like, wow, I guess I didn't pay attention to that when I was younger.
Well, because you thought you wanted kids when you were younger.
Maybe that's part of it too, is it's a different perspective now.
Oh.
Which I've never been against abortion or anything. I'm against unnecessary abortion, but I think everybody is. I mean, and what I mean by unnecessary abortion is like
using it as birth control almost.
Yeah. But I think anyone would tell you, if you know anything about medicine, you know it's not a good idea because you can actually do some irreversible damage to yourself, and eventually you won't be able to have kids anyway. So, yeah, that's a bad thing. But I think, in a situation where you know that you can't give the kid the life that they deserve or want,
You know, and I can't speak for me personally what I would do in that situation because I've never been in that situation. But I really hate that there's sort of this attitude that it's like the woman is really heartless for making that decision, you know.
So, do you feel like there were other things that you weren't allowed to watch that everyone else got to watch?
I'm trying to think of one. I didn't watch Jurassic Park until I was in my 20s.
See, and I did watch that young. I watched that very young, and my mom's idea was, it's dinosaurs. My children love dinosaurs. And then people start dying, and it's just like...
Well, to be fair, like, I remember my dad specifically being like, and this is spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the original Jurassic Park, I mean, at this point, I don't think it should be a spoiler, but anyway, the T-Rex kills this dude on a toilet, and my dad was absolutely abhorred and disgusted. He still talks about that to this day.
The guy wasn't even naked when it happened.
I know!
So, like, why does your dad feel some type of way about it?
He was just like, man's taking a shit, and they couldn't, he said they had to write it that way. Why did they have to write it that way?
But he wasn't. He was just sitting on the toilet scared. So, I feel like your dad needs to open his eyes and look at it in a different perspective.
My dad's not very good at that. Anyway.
I'm not trying to talk bad about your parents. I'm not.
I love my dad, but he is stubborn. And if he watched this, he'd be like, yup, and I'm still not going to enjoy Jurassic Park. But he and my mom were like really, really against me watching that. And for him, it was that he thought it was too gory. That it was
not
scary.
Even gory though. It's
I mean, and then later on we watched when I was 13, I remember watching like all sorts of crime stuff like Silence of the Lambs and things like that.
That's gorier than that.
I know. Like there were things that I was exposed to that were extremely gory. But then
Hannibal, oh my god.
And then I watched Jurassic Park probably when I was like early 20s, and I was like, really? Really, Dad? Really, Mom? Really?
Oh my god.
And I mean, to be fair too, like I remember being like 13 years old and watching Lord of the Rings, and that was like my first PG-13 series.
I watched rated R stuff growing up, so I saw The Howling kind of young.
That's another one I watched before I watched Jurassic Park.
See, and The Howling is terrifying.
I know, and my dad, that's my dad's favorite horror movie.
It would be.
And
because I know you're scared of wolves too, so it's just like...
My dad loves werewolves. My dad loves werewolves and vampires.
I'm okay with vampires.
I love vampires. I think if I had to pick something, and I'm not talking obviously like Twilight and things like that. I'm talking vampires. Like my dad and I used to marathon the Hammer films with Christopher Lee and oh my god, what is his name? Peter
O'Toole? No.
No.
I'm thinking of Fright Night.
He's in he was in the first Star Wars movie. The New Hope.
Who did he play in The New Hope?
He was the general that was...
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about now. Ottoman General... Ah, man! I'm trying to think in Carrie Fisher's General Tuck.
Yeah.
There we go. I love Star Wars, okay? So...
Is it Peter Cushing?
Oh, I thought it was Governor Tuck, actually, though.
I think it's Peter Cushing.
Sure.
Someone's gonna be like, no! And I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry.
I'm not that diehard of a Star Wars fan.
I thought I was right.
He a side character. He in one movie. I'm like, come on, y'all.
But he was a really famous. The
wine's starting to talk.
Yeah, maybe. He was a really famous British actor.
Yeah, I saw The Howling way too young, though. And it didn't help that I saw like all the Howling movies. Like the one where they're like a satanic cult. That was so scary.
I've only watched the first one. Like,
I mean, they're not all good. Like, I would say
when I was in my early teens, I started out on like Friday the 13th and
I think those movies are stupid.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street's kind of Freddy's funny. Let's be honest, he's funny.
I like Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's because I wouldn't say that it's scary. Like, I didn't think any of them were really that scary.
The story for Friday the 13th is I'm not Friday the 13th. I can't talk.
The first Friday the 13th was an interesting story. Anything after that is just kind of like... And it really wasn't that interesting of a story, you know?
I liked Freddy more than I liked Jason.
Yeah, I liked
Sorry.
Freddy. The Halloween movies.
Those are scary to me.
The first two
are scary.
Anything after the first two, I just did not think was worth the watch.
Well, because the stories don't match up after that. You're like, what?
Well, they do go back to it, but really what happened where they messed up was that they originally wanted all of the Halloween movies to be a different story.
Like an anthology movie series?
Yeah, like how American Horror Story has different stories each season. But,
people love the character of Michael Myers.
The first one was so interesting, it's kind of hard to just... You're good.
There we go.
I mean, it was kind of hard to just leave it off at that point. And then the second one was really good, but, like, the third one was way...
Halloween movies, again, something I shouldn't have been seeing young.
Yeah, probably.
Titties everywhere.
Yeah, probably not, but oh well. I mean... I watched a lot of things really, really young. And so when you think about the fact that I watched those, and you know what? I watched Jaws.
Oh, grew up Jaws, yeah.
I watched Jaws when I was like 8. So
I don't remember the first time I saw Jaws. That's how young I was.
My granny had all 3 Jaws films. And we used to just watch them.
I love you. There's 4.
Okay. Well.
The last one's not good.
Which one's the one with Dennis Quaid?
That would be Jaws 3.
Okay. That's the last
That one's not good either.
No, it's not.
Jaws 1 and 2 are the ones you need to watch.
Oh man, you guys. But Jaws 3, like, there's one scene where he's like swimming towards the underwater city or whatever. And oh my god, it just bad.
Bad, and I knew them the first time I saw it, and I was like, I might have been 12, and I was just like, this is bad.
Bad.
Who did this?
Why? Why did this? Why?
Meanwhile, the shark's a megalodon. No one wants to address that the shark is a megalodon, you know? It's a megalodon here. It's just like, this is...
He's a great white, Ronnie.
No.
Great white.
No, it could swallow a person whole. That is not a great white.
Great white.
If you say so.
I know that he's really a megalodon.
No, I saw the Jaws movies.
You can't tell that we really like sharks, right?
Hashtag going to go see Meg.
I mean, not up close and personal like sharks.
No, like an aquarium. Like dealer on Shark Week. But there's a screen between me and said shark. I'm never getting in a shark cage. Sorry.
Aww.
No.
I have to go return tickets now.
You can keep yours. I'm not doing it.
My plan was to get you really drunk.
Girl, 47 meters down. No. Not a good movie, but no.
I don't know. I guess to me, deep sea anything is kind of terrifying.
Giant squids alone are scary.
Oh my god.
No. Oh! It was a mini-series, but I saw Peter Bensley's, saying his name right, I don't know. He's the author of Jaws, but he also wrote this book called The Beast. They turned that into a mini-series. Terrified me. Should not have watched it. But I've always had a fascination for marine biology. I don't want to be a marine biologist. The job market is not.
Yeah.
Plus, it means you have to get in the water at some point, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
It's kind of like you're fascinated by what terrifies you.
A little bit. That is what it is.
Which, to be fair, you know, one of the things that is really fascinating about marine biology is that there's so little that we actually know about marine life. Because there's literally parts of the ocean we cannot explore. We know more about outer space
than we do our own planet. That's scary thinking about it. It's just like, But, so yeah, that was something I shouldn't have watched because it's literally squid plucking people off boats and taking them down the ocean and killing them. I'm like, no. I saw Stephen King's It when I was 5.
I didn't watch It until I was in my 20s.
Oh my gosh, it was not scary at all for you.
I was so confused because when I was a kid, a lot of the people my age had grown up watching It, and so they were scared of clowns. And
I had a friend that was like in her late teens before she saw it, and she did think it was. She's like, no, this is a little unsettling. She's like, but I was like, no, but as a kid, you see that razor sharp teeth come out of a clown. It's like, nope, it kills kids too. And you know, the one type of character that's usually always safe in the horror film. It's not in this movie because it's primary diet children.
For me, too, I think the other thing was that my mom bought me a lot of sing-along tapes. And so there were a lot of clowns in my childhood. So I never was super, oh, I love clowns. But I mean, I associated.
You never thought them as a negative thing.
No, I associated.
And I always did. I've always thought clowns.
I associated them with happiness and cheery fun times. And then to get older and to realize people are scared of something that is typically in my mind, related to innocence, you know.
Because clowns are supposed to bring joy, and then there's wait, there's things called scary clowns? What? What is
I actually, as a baby, had a mobile that was little clowns. And they were really cute.
Well, no, I mean, that's the thing, though. Clowns, if they look cute, it's different. It's when they have that almost unsettling look to them, though. It's like...
Well, the thing that's weird to me...
Yeah, her wine is gone.
My wine is gone. I'm a lush. I won't lie.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else I probably should not have watched as a child that people are like...
I remember watching an episode with my mom of this show called The Outer Limits when I was way too young.
My mom did not like those shows. The X-Files, though, my mom watched.
I didn't watch X-Files.
And I shouldn't have been watching X-Files, yeah.
But there was an episode of The Outer Limits, and I don't remember very much about it except that there was this alien and he could change forms, and this kid went to rescue him, and he basically turned himself into the kid's hero. And so the kid was like, oh, cool. And then the kid goes off, and I can't even remember what the circumstances were, but his dog got loose, and being very protective of him, he wasn't a fan of the alien creature or whatever. And then the alien creature ate the dog. And it was really, really gruesome and gory. And
oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, and my mom didn't know it was coming, and so she was mortified, but I remember being traumatized for weeks afterwards.
I would have been too.
I was just and it wasn't just the dog, he ate people. But I was I remember being well then, hindsight 2020, why did he not eat the little boy?
Sorry. Learn to drink your alcohol, sir.
You don't need to breathe it.
Yes, I do. But I remember watching this movie. I can't remember what it was called, but it came on USA. Back when USA used to play like a lot of movies. And Xena
yeah.
and Hercules. That's about all I remember from USA.
Dun, dun, dun,
But there was like
dun, 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 dun.
USA Theater or something like that. They played movies back in the 90s. Way back in the 90s. But it was like there was these aliens and they were taking over. And like they won at the end. Like they looked like giant potato monsters. That's what I thought of them as. But like,
oh my god, what movie has potato aliens?
I don't know what it was, but I remember thinking that movie was terrifying. The Blob, like the 80s Blob version, that was scary because kids were dying in it, and were dying horribly in it.
I never watched The Blob.
It's a little unsettling, like, because it literally works like an acid and it eats you.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's...
That would I will say, of all of the creatures that probably you will not really encourage me to watch horror movies around, zombies.
Zombies scare you? I feel like it's been overdone to me. That's what it is for me.
That's part of it. Part of it that's overdone. Part of it is not really that they scare me so much as watching them eat people bothers me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get that. I'm not a big fan of gore.
Yeah, I'm not really a gore person. And I think that's probably why I don't really like zombies that much. Like, I like The Walking Dead. And I haven't watched it in a while. Like, you know, I watched the first few seasons and I kind of got bored. And
that's me. I get bored easily. If I feel like nothing's happening, I stop.
Yeah. And zombies done right. I really liked the Last of Us game. Have you ever...
I've seen a little bit of it, yeah.
Okay, so... If you guys don't know, basically, you know, usually in a zombie movie, it's something devastating broke out, and it's a sickness, a virus, whatever. And in The Last of Us, it's fungal. And so you have basically shroom zombies walking around.
What's the Brad Pitt one called?
Brad Pitt. Oh God.
Zombie War or World War Z?
World War Z.
That's really good, actually.
One.
That was good.
I like it if it's got an interesting take on it. Like,
Oh, Sagan. She took my heart.
Huh?
The character Sagan.
Yeah.
I was in love. Look at my shenanigans.
If I would say there's a zombie movie that's like kind of... I'm trying to remember because there's like so many. The one where they're in the mall. Something about...
Not Day of the Dead, but...
Dawn of the Dead? Is that what it's called?
Not Dawn of the Dead, or... I think it's World or something like that. It's one.
I don't know. They're in a mall. And
Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I don't remember, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, they're in a mall and they're trying to survive post-zombie apocalypse. I think the other thing that bothers me too is typically in a zombie movie, no one escapes it and everyone dies. And that's just kind of...
28 Days Later is good.
Oh, 28 Days Later is good. Oh, I love Cillian Murphy, so...
And to see his penis.
I know. Spoiler. Oh, I mean, it's in the first few minutes.
Like, literally, it's
So,
just like,
like-
oh, well then, okay.
It's not really a spoiler. You get to see penis.
Oh, I just
But-
realized a movie I saw growing up that I shouldn't have. Beetlejuice.
Ooh, I watched that one when I was like 12. So.
I was more like 6.
Ronnie!
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Watching this movie at 6 years old.
Oh my god.
Nice effing model!
Oh
As he
my-
grabs his dick. Like...
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if I really think about it, there's probably something like that.
Well, I think to my mom's defense, it came off, the trailer made it come off looking kind of Addams Family-ish. And she's like, oh, that's family friendly. Nope. It's like, well, he's done seen it now and he loves it, so.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one thing, too. You're probably just really mature for your age.
Well, my mom would be like, you can't say that word.
Yeah.
You can't say that word. You can't say that word.
Yeah. Well, I watched Titanic when I was 7.
I was 9 or 10 when I saw it.
Well, I remember that one coming
I
out.
went to theaters to see that.
And what I remember about that one when it came out was that I had just broke my hand. And you guys don't know, but I am constantly accused of trying to kill myself.
Accidentally.
I don't think I've ever told you this story. I'm gonna hold your hand.
So dramatic.
So, I rolled out of bed onto my hand and broke my hand.
You told me this.
Okay.
You did. Here she's thinking it's gonna be a big reveal, and I'm like...
I did. I expected it to be more like... like that face.
No. No. No, but I saw that movie with my mom. I was in 4th grade, and everyone was seeing this movie.
Yeah.
It was...
I remember
the phenomenon that was Titanic. I was like, you weren't cool if you haven't seen this movie. So, we saw this movie. It was that and Spice World. If you hadn't seen Spice World, you weren't cool. But let's be fair, I was a boy. I was not about to go see Spice World.
I've never watched Spice World.
It's such a bad movie at that, too.
I've never
It's bad! Love you, Spice Girls, but your movie was bad.
I've never watched Spice World.
I had my own right friends who watched this, and I was like, bite your tongue! Spice World forever!
Well, come to think of it, typically in the 90s and early 2000s, if you were a famous pop star, it was pretty much guaranteed you were going to make a bad movie.
Crossroads, Britney Spears.
Glitter Mariah Carey.
Alright, bees, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bees. But any film Beyonce was in, besides Dreamgirls.
Okay.
Dreamgirls was good.
Technically, she wasn't a main in Dreamgirls.
No. But
I never watched...
Girl Song Listen was amazing.
There was a movie she was in... I remember her being in it.
She was in Goldmember, and I was like, eh. Fighting Temptations wasn't that bad, I have to say.
That's the one I was thinking of. I was like, I can't remember the name of the movie. I remember seeing the trailers for it, and her singing the Fever song.
Mm-hmm.
Fever when you kiss me. Fever when you...
I'd say Fever is... Fever. Fighting Temptations is... It's not a great movie. But it's not a terrible movie.
See, guys, my childhood hero was Hilary Duff. Like...
No.
Yeah.
I don't think she made any movies, though, after she left Disney.
Yes, she did.
What'd she make?
Okay, so she did A Cinderella Story.
Okay.
That was not a Disney movie.
I'm talking about, like, more so in her 20s. She wasn't like, I'm gonna be a starlet.
I think that we kind of all knew that she should probably focus on singing. And then she kind of went through periods where it was like, well, I'm gonna sing. I'm kind of done with singing for a little while. I think I'm gonna act. I'm kind of done with acting for a little while. I think I'm gonna sing. Right now she's acting on a show called Younger. And I have not watched a bit of it.
No. Because, okay, gonna sound a little snobby, it's a TV Land show. It's an original TV Land show.
I like TV Lands.
I like TV Lands when it would play old TV shows, not when it made their own stuff. Hot in Cleveland. Looking at you. Betty White was the only thing good about that show.
I've never watched Hot in
I watched
Cleveland.
like one episode, I'm like, this isn't funny. It's like they wanted to be the new Golden Girls. Throwing a little shade, I'm sorry.
I remember TV Land used to host Bewitched
and I Dream of Jeannie. And those were my favorites. You know that the nose wiggles she does on Bewitched is not actually a nose wiggle.
It's not.
Nope, it's just her mouth.
Things you learn.
Factoid. Quiz
But-
later.
No. I remember watching Leprechaun as a kid.
Oh, I've never watched Leprechaun.
Should not have watched Leprechaun as a kid.
It looks. I'm sorry if you like it. It looks shitty. So like, I just thought I was like
A little bit, yeah.
I was like,
Willow! I watched Willow as a kid and should not have.
oh, and that's the same. That's the same act.
That's what made me think of it. He's not a bad actor, though.
He's not. He's a really good actor, and that might have been the one thing that would have gotten me to watch Leprechaun. But then it was Jennifer Aniston, pre-Jennifer Aniston as in Friends.
Meanwhile, she still looks like that.
I know. I love her. So anyway, but point being that like.
But no, I should not have been watching Willow as a small child because scary stuff in Willow.
I watched Legend when I was like 8.
Yeah, same here. And should have been watching Legend because Legend's a little scary. It's like,
Yeah, the darkness is kind of terrifying. Hashtag love Tim Curry forever and always.
Well, watching older, he always his character talked in a very sexual way. Like, he was getting off every time he said something. I was like...
Well, he sounds sexual in general.
But...
I'm Tim Curry. But if you're Tim Curry, it's like... that girl bent over, if you know what I mean.
His laugh is hypnotic.
Yeah. I love Tim Curry. So we got like way
off topic. I tried to bring us in topic.
We stayed on topic. Things that we watched as children that we probably should not have. But we're still wonderfully well-adjusted adults.
No.
One of my personalities is.
The voices in your head don't count, sweetheart. They shouldn't be there to begin with.
Don't tell Francesca that.
I'm not well adjusted at all. I am unstable AF.
I think everyone's unstable. I think if you really honestly believe yourself to be completely stable, then something is like way wrong with you. That's terrible of me to say, but I mean it in the best way. No one's perfect.
But so my question for you guys, what inappropriate movies did y'all watch growing up or TV shows? I swear somebody said I was 5 and was watching Sex in the City. I'm gonna slap your parents.
But
have a wonderful witchy day.
Blessed be.
Bye.